Hi, my name is Daryl, and I'm a veteran.
Hey, I'm Travis. I'm an Air Force veteran.
Hey, my name's Jonathan, and I'm a veteran.
Hi, my name's Ashley and I'm a veteran.
My name is Chad, and I'm a veteran.
Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to Conversations with a Vet. My name is Kara Lee. Thank you all for joining me tonight. It's this Sunday. Hopefully, everybody has had a wonderful, wonderful, great, and absolutely beautiful weekend. I know we've been inundated with a lot of rain, and hopefully, some of that has gone to those states needing it that are completely in a drought. But anyway, I have a wonderful guest who has graciously agreed to come on and tell her story. So if y'all would please help me welcome Sonya Achara. Hi.
Hi,
How are you doing today?
I'm good. I'm definitely excited to be here speaking with you.
Well, we're really excited to have you, and thank you so much for agreeing to come on. So I met you on, if I remember correctly, it was Tip of the Spear. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so it was wonderful getting to know you a little bit and then agreeing to come on the channel. So thank you again. So I like to start my shows off by asking my guests a little bit about who they were as a child. So for those who are watching, why don't you tell us who you were, Sonya, as a kid?
So so as a kid, I was I was a kid that got into athletics pretty early on. Um I actually feel like it was kind of an escape for me
Okay.
because I had an emotionally neglectful childhood. I grew up in a household where, my parents just didn't say I love you. There was no hugs and kisses. Like it was very stoic, I guess, and emotionally abusive too. So um I would say there was physical abuse in there sometimes too. But I don't blame my parents anymore. I understand that they were dealt, certain cards as they grew up and just basically just passed it on without the tools of knowing how to change, though, like break the generational curses type of thing. So
Yeah.
I,
Yeah.
yeah, so I basically delved into sports. I learned how to push my body past its limits at a very young age.
What sports did you enjoy playing?
I like playing soccer. I also played basketball, volleyball, I did cross country. I ran track and field. Um, so those were like the main sports.
Which ones did you enjoy the most out of that?
So soccer was probably my favorite, and then later track became my favorite. I think it was really the coaches that kind of determined that for me.
Coaches make a really big difference in how well you succeed in your sport and, the motivation that they can provide.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I just had I feel like I had a good soccer coach at a young age where she's the coach that got me into soccer.
Hmm.
And actually was the first person that kind of pushed me uh, past my limits. And then as I got older, it was really like my junior college track coach. Well, my high school track coach too, for sure. My high school track coach, and then my junior college track coach that got me kind of more into track versus soccer.
Nice. And then tell me about how you felt as far as, were you studious in school? Did you enjoy school?
I was not a school.
Mhm.
I didn't like school. I did what I needed to do to be able to pass, but I was not the one that had good grades. My sister was the one in my family that got good grades, and so I think that was another reason why even going to college for me depended on like if I was going to play sports. So
Yeah, and if you're going to get a scholarship or something along those lines, I know that was kind of my thing too.
Mhm.
And I just had a better job offer.
Yeah,
So
I understand that.
at what point was it that you decided you wanted to join the military, and specifically the branch that you chose?
So it was really because so I did end up running track for San Diego State University, and I was really good at it, obviously, to get onto the D1 track team.
Hmm.
But towards the end, it was like my last year there, I had a mental block because I was putting so much pressure on myself. Looking back, this is the reason, but I was putting so much pressure on myself and not wanting to run a 60-second 400, which I had ran sub 60 seconds for a while. And for some reason, I just kept running that 60 seconds, and I wasn't able to get past it. And they kicked me off of the track team. So that was kind of devastating for me. And I was like, what am I going to do next? And I think I was trying for a year to do different jobs here and there, but I was just like, I need to do something greater than what this is. Cause I don't know, I was doing like retail. I tried to work for like a personal training, cause I majored in kinesiology. So it was like the study of muscle movement. I
Oh,
was,
wow.
yeah. And so I was trying to kind of work my way into the personal training stuff, but it wasn't really working out I don't know, how I imagined. And so I was like, you know what, let me join the Marines.
The Marines. Was that your first choice? Was the Marines?
It was my first choice because in my mind, I was like, well, if I'm going to join something, it's going to be the hardest branch because I just thought I was this, like, I don't know if I could cuss, but
You can cuss.
I was going to say this. I just thought I was this badass woman, watching shows growing up, seeing women kicking butt. Like that was like
Hmm.
what I felt I embodied.
That's awesome. That's absolutely wonderful. Really, truly. So, what about your parents? Did you tell them that's what you wanted to do before
I,
you signed on the dotted line?
I told them after I signed up. So I signed up and I was like, I joined the Marines, and they were like, what?
How'd that go over?
So I think they were surprised, but they ended up being like supportive of it.
Nice. Very nice.
So,
So, tell me what it was like for you the moment you got off that bus.
so getting off the bus, well, first my heart was pounding even riding up to the spot.
Hmm.
Because I knew it was just, you just don't know what to expect. You think it's going to be some type of chaos, but yeah, they basically came onto the bus and just started yelling, get out, get out, get out. And we had to run off, get onto the yellow footprints. And yeah, it's nerve-wracking because it's dark.
Right. So, they don't want you to know where you're at.
Yeah, they don't. They do it on purpose.
And so you're standing on those yellow footprints. Did it ever cross your mind that you were standing on the footprints of those before you?
I guess I didn't really have time to think about that. um, like all I could think of was just like what did I get myself into?
What was your MOS that you signed up for?
So I signed up to be a radio operator.
Mm.
I originally wanted intelligence, but they said that they didn't have it available. So they basically kind of convinced me that radio was cool. And so I was just like, you know what, I'll do it. I just want to be a Marine.
So the first week, I'm assuming, is all receiving. Is that right? You're getting your gear. They're going through, doing all the checks and what have you.
Yeah, it's really all the first 3 to 4 days is just receiving, getting all your stuff, and yeah, and honestly, these drill instructors weren't um they weren't as bad as the ones I received on like
Wow.
formation day one.
They don't want to scare you too soon.
Yeah, I guess it was to get you ready.
Right. And okay, so you go through your receiving process, and then yes, you get to your first formation. Tell me about what that's like. I mean, obviously you had that phone call home, is that right?
Yes, I did have the phone call home. I don't think anybody answered though. So
Did they say try again or no?
no, yeah,
Okay,
just
okay.
really try. Plus, I didn't know. Yeah, I was just like, I'll try once, and then like if it doesn't work, like whatever.
Right, that's fair.
Mhm.
So, all right, you get so your first formation, what's going through your mind?
Um, I'm trying to remember what was going through my mind. I just remember it being very chaotic those first few days, and just so much yelling and screaming and like throwing things and like in my face, and it was definitely a culture shock for everybody. I do think that I feel like I adjusted a little better than most of the girls because I had already been yelled at my whole life. And so this was just a more intense, in my face type of yelling. And so it was definitely a little bit of an adjustment for sure.
Do you ever look to your left and to your right and look at these ladies and be like, suck it up?
Um, I think a couple of times I did, but I think I was even a little more compassionate about it with them. Um, but then it also depended. There were some girls that just were very like snappy, so I didn't feel bad for those for those girls. Um, it was very, yeah. I mean, everyone's in survival mode, so I understand now why people get so people get so riled up and snappy in those situations. But they were teaching us how to work as a team even in this type of survival mode environment.
Right. Exactly. So I'm guessing during this time, right, you're getting to know um, your teammates pretty well and starting to move together as one unit, one platoon, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
So
there was a few girls that I was closer to than others, but yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
Now, did you had the opportunity to write home?
Yes, I did have the opportunity to write. So I wrote some letters. Um, I guess I didn't receive as many letters as I wanted to receive. But I kind of also wasn't surprised either because my family had always kind of been the type to like they didn't really show up to my games, and my games were important to me, so
Right.
for something like this I kind of almost expected it already.
Yeah, and that sounds pretty fair
Hmm.
to expect. So you're going through this process, and what was the first, because I can't remember, is my I was trying to remember when my youngest Marine veteran went through. We had, as a parent, we had a calendar
Hmm.
basically. So what was the second, and was it second and third week? Is it 2 week intervals?
Yeah, I think every few weeks or so there was a different phase.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
And so there's multiple phases that you go through. Of those, did you have a favorite?
I think I want to say the second or third, because the third one would be a favorite more so because they treated us different, because we were more evolved, more matured, I guess, in the stages.
Hmm.
So they allowed us to do more things on our own, like walk to church in a platoon or something together. Take more leadership positions to lead the group's places. And but the second one would have been a favorite just because of the things we did, like a lot of the obstacle courses, the shooting range, and stuff like that were in the second phase, and I actually enjoyed it. I enjoyed doing those things.
Had you ever shot before?
No, that was my first time shooting, was in Marine Corps boot camp.
That's one of my favorite hobbies.
I love it since, because well, after being in for 14 years, I was a rifle range coach and pistol coach.
Nice, very nice.
Mhm.
You being a female, and we'll get to this, but just a question for the back of your mind for later, being a female coach with predominantly males, right? Think about how you felt you were received in
Okay.
that position. But so let's talk about, you already had the stamina for a lot of the PT, the physical stuff. So that obviously, I'm assuming, helped you get through a lot of that, the running and.
Yeah, so the interesting thing about that is I ended up being one of the most in shape female recruits there. It was always between me and one other girl, just like racing each other.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and so since I stood out in that way, I felt like they picked on me more because they were like, "Oh, Schmidt," like my name back then was Schmidt, so it was like they were like, "Oh, Schmidt, you think you're strong, you think you're fast," and so they were always.
Oh, no. So okay, I can understand that, right? They're trying to break you down and you're
Mhm.
not working with them. All
Yeah.
right. So you get through, and now you had to go through the gas chamber. What did you think of that?
Yeah, that was I was nervous about it first, but once it happened, it wasn't as bad as I thought it would be.
That's, see, I think people get more nervous about the unknown, and that's
Mhm.
causes a lot more anxiety than the actual act of doing whatever it is they're going to be doing.
Yeah, I believe that 100%.
Yeah, our youngest said that was one of his favorites, was the gas chamber.
Oh, okay. That's
Uh,
funny.
it is very funny. Unbeknownst to me, and of course the rappelling portion was the other that he
Mm,
really enjoyed. Um, so you're going through, when you're in boot camp, obviously there's people dropping out, right?
mhm.
So when you started to when you graduated, what do you figure you had left in your platoon?
Oh, ask the question one more time.
As far as the number of recruits from the
Mhm.
time that you
Oh,
started boot camp to the time you graduated, what do you think the drop rate was?
we definitely dropped at least 20. Yeah, at
And
least
that was
20.
out of.
It was 60 something in the beginning. We graduated with 40 something. I don't
Okay.
remember the exact numbers, but
No,
that
no.
was, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it just goes to show for the listeners, how difficult it is. Any military branch, I'm not specifying specifically the Marines, but just getting through, people don't realize them. You've got to have a certain mentality. You got to,
Mhm,
they're going to break you down and build you back up to what they want you to be.
mhm,
And they're going to do it the way that they know how.
mhm.
And you kind of have to just suck it up and go. But um, were there times where you just said, I want to just stop? I can't keep doing this.
There was never a time for me that I felt I wanted to quit. I think for me, I just got used to it. But the things I will say that annoyed me the most was just the lack of freedom, just not being able to, do all the things that I wanted to do, obviously. But there was never a time that I wanted to quit. Like I knew I was gonna graduate, and I was gonna graduate on time. I wasn't gonna get dropped. And I had already decided that from the beginning.
Nice. Tell me about what it was like for the Crucible for you.
The Crucible was definitely tough. I think the hardest part for me was the hike at the end, because after all the walking that we had already been doing, that hike almost broke me because I was getting blisters on that hike.
Mm-hmm.
And so the blisters were so bad, like it was just like painful to walk. And so I really had to suck it up like the last 6 miles, I would say, of that 9-mile hike. I was like just sucking it up the whole time.
Wow. What where did you end up graduating from? Where did you go to boot camp?
I went to Paris Island because at the time that I joined, it was only women could only graduate. They could only go through boot camp in Paris, South Carolina.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that place, the moisture, the storms, when did you go through?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was 2010, April 2010.
Okay, so springtime.
Mm-hmm. So it was like hot summer when I did the Crucible.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, not fun. Not fun. And what did you think about the sand fleas?
Those were annoying also, like definitely, especially during PT, and they didn't want us to like smack. But I will say there were times where if it got really bad, they would come by and spray bug spray on us all.
That's good. So you get your EGA,
Mm-hmm.
and where do you go from there?
Yeah, so for me, I feel like for most of us, the EGA was a very emotional moment. I mean, just because of the tough, crucible that we had to go through, and then we finally get there, and we're like, "Wow, we made it!" And it's just you just get overwhelmed with emotion. But after that, we had a week of they called Marine Week where we were able to, we called the drill instructors by Sergeant so and so instead of ma'am or sir. And so that was a fun week. And then we were able to finally graduate and go on leave back home. And then Marine combat training. Marine combat training was fun. I thought it was fun, other than not being able to shower for a little while. That got pretty bad for a little bit, but then going to MOS school was fun. I've met a lot of people that I stayed friends with for a long time from MOS school, because a lot of them ended up getting stationed at my first duty station with me.
Nice. That's very nice. Because there's a lot that don't have that same luxury of having people that they've gone through with.
Mm-hmm.
So tell me about your MOS school. What was it like for communications?
So my MOS school was it was only 2 months long. It wasn't that long. So it was really more of a they actually made me the class commander because I got I guess when we did our initial PFT there, I ran the best PFT. And so I was the class commander, and it was challenging at times being the class commander because it felt like a lot of the other Marines were like just trying to, I guess, go against. I feel like when you're young in the Marine Corps, you're just taught like this very small snippet of leadership. Like you're supposed to step it up and be a leader, but they don't really teach you how to do that. So you're trying to lead people and make sure people are like cleaning and doing all the things they're supposed to do, and then people are talking back and all kinds of craziness.
Yeah. It's like they don't care about the rank. They don't care about anything till they get called on it, or they actually have some kind of leadership that's coming down on them. But
Yeah, because it's only one rank difference at that point. I was a PFC, and there were some privates under me, but there were some that were the same rank as me. So they're like, "Well, I don't, I don't have to listen to you."
you, what exactly, when you're going through this course, were they teaching you for communications? So it's
they were
more
just
than just to being a DJ.
Yeah, they were teaching us how to operate the military grade radios. So that's really what they were teaching us, is how to operate the radios, how to keep them clean, how to keep them organized. And it was just really how to operate them.
Nice.
So
Nice. And then once you get through your schooling, what happens next for you?
So after the schooling, I got stationed in Camp Lejeune, North Carolina at 2nd Intelligence Battalion. Yeah, 2nd Intelligence. Yeah, because 1st is in Pendleton. So 2nd Intelligence Battalion as a radio operator there. At the Intelligence Battalion, they actually have units that go out with, they have portions that go out with grunt units. So they had some of our male radio operators actually go to this section called GSP. It was like some type of ground support platoon as the radio operators. And so as a female, I wasn't able to go with them, basically, because they would deploy with like the counter intel guys, the grunt units and stuff like that.
And so you had to stay stateside.
Yeah, I basically had to. So I had to stay in the radio platoon, just the normal radio platoon, communications platoon for the battalion, and they would get us. They would take us for deployments. There were little deployments here and there that came up, but we'd have to basically get fapped out to another unit to deploy with them. So I did end up deploying in April 2012 with it was when we were coming out of Afghanistan. So it was a logistics battalion where we were just getting all the radio gear from the grunt units. We were taking all their gear and sending it back to the United States.
Okay. All right. How long did that last for you?
I was there for 8 months.
Wow.
So I was there in the summertime from April to October.
And was this your first time out of country?
Yes. Yeah, it was.
How did it differ from what you envisioned?
I guess I thought I was going to do more things outside of the wire, they call it. But I was basically located on a base out in the Helmand province. So we had big HESCO barriers around the base, and we had guards on the outside of the base, basically watching to make sure that, that we stayed safe on the base.
Right. And when you first got there, were you surprised at the landscape?
No, I knew it was going to be sandy and dusty, but I didn't know. I think I underestimated the heat because it was pretty bad. It felt like being inside an oven almost.
Oh man. What did you get to eat? Was it MREs? Did you actually have a chow hall?
So I actually got to go to chow halls. That we had a few chow halls on the base I was on. I was on Camp Dwyer. They had a Camp Leatherneck out there, and Camp Dwyer. Camp Dwyer was the smaller of the bases, and so I was on Dwyer the whole time. And there was a few chow halls to go to, which the food was pretty good to me.
Hey, that's all that matters, right?
Mm-hmm.
If it tastes good,
yeah,
and it keeps you sustained, that's great. Was there any time then that you got to mingle with the civilians there, or were you just strictly on base the whole time, the whole 8 months?
I was on base the whole time. I did go. I got to fly in like a helicopter to Leatherneck a couple of times, but the whole time they kind of just left us on base because a friend and I did ask if we could go off base, like patrolling with some of the Marines, and our leadership said that they didn't want us to because basically they're responsible for anything that happens to us. So if we allow you to go off base to patrol and something happens to you, that's on us, and that's not what we came here for, type of thing. So they made that decision, which makes a lot of sense. So you
Right,
got to
right.
protect your Marines.
After your 8 months of deployment there, what happens for you next?
So after deployment, I basically come back, and I don't know why I'm like motivated to do all these things, but I something switches in me, and I go to become a martial arts instructor, a black belt martial arts instructor, and then even after that, I start bodybuilding.
Wow.
So, um, yeah, and I just got super into just the martial arts and the bodybuilding, and I started to have this reputation at that unit that I was like the one that was like whipping people into shape, as a female, and so I became pretty well respected at that first unit. I picked up all the rank all the way up to sergeant at that unit.
Wow.
Mhm.
And through this, you've only been deployed the one time. Is that accurate?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
So you're now becoming a badass Marine.
Yeah, teaching martial arts. Oh, that was also when I went to the coach's course to become a marksmanship coach for the pistol and the rifle. So I just wanted to do as much as I could to be, yeah, become this badass Marine.
Yeah, and it sounds like you've achieved it. That's amazing. So, all right. So you get through, you become a black belt in martial arts, and you also, have gone through the bodybuilding. You're working on strength and helping to instruct for rifle and for pistol. And through all of this, where are you at? Are you just stateside? Is it just for 6 months, a year? How long are you there for?
Yeah, I was just stateside at the unit. After I came back from that deployment, I just was at Second Intel Battalion for a couple of years, working on all that, and I ended up basically deciding to go to become a recruiter. I put in a recruiting package to become a recruiter because I wanted to. I guess I wanted to get ahead of because they actually do this thing where they choose for you sometimes to
Mhm.
become a recruiter or a drill instructor.
They'll kind of rotate people in and out.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so you took the high road, said I'm going to do this on my own, take the
Mhm.
initiative. And where were you stationed for that?
So for recruiting duty, I ended up getting. I was hoping to get California, but I got sent to Kansas. I was in. I was in basically it was Olathe, Kansas. So it's kind of a city area of Kansas.
Okay. And so you get these recruits coming in or these people who are considering becoming a Marine, and you're who they see.
Hmm.
This buff,
Yeah,
badass
I was buff at
female
the time
Marine.
too.
Were they all shocked? Were they like, whoa?
Yeah, they were. It's interesting. It was funny going on recruiting duty because the kids all did like they had these stories about me. Like I was like, oh, Sergeant Schmidt can like kill somebody with her bare hands, and they would just make up all these things because of my credentials. Like they knew that I was a martial arts instructor. They saw some of the techniques that I would do at the pulley functions because
Hmm.
I'd be part of the demo where I would actually do the techniques on a male Marine instructor. So I will say that my being on recruiting duty there out in Kansas, I was one of the only female recruiters out there. I was the only female they saw of a Marine. And so I feel like I actually was able to inspire a lot of the females that were there. Because we would do like female pool functions and stuff like that. And I really enjoyed being that mentor.
Right. Kind of the Marines version of G.I. Jane.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can imagine that, being as fit as you were at recruiting, that you probably did get quite a bit
Mhm.
of female recruits
Mhm.
for the Marine Corps. And you did that for how long, did you say?
Yeah, I recruited for 3 years. So I did pick up staff sergeant at the end of my tour, like the very end. But yeah, I was one of the only females. When I first started doing pull-ups, I was one of the only females in my units that could do pull-ups. So I think then they started actually testing it to see if, you know, to actually move into females doing pull-ups instead of the flex arm hang.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like I was definitely part of that shift. They were like, "Oh, well, she can do it."
See? Yeah. Little trendsetter you. All right. And then from there, after you complete your 3 years with recruit training, where do you go from there?
So from there, they allowed me to choose where I wanted to go, kind of. Because recruiting duty was it was a hard duty. Like, even though there were things about it that I enjoyed, it was one of the toughest duties I had to go through because of just the pressure that they put on you. I ended up drinking. I was drinking a lot. I would drink like a bottle of wine a night when I was on recruiting duty because I was just so stressed out. And I didn't, there was a lot of traumas I didn't realize was happening with me during that duty. They just tell you to suck it up, and you look down upon if you like, there was some people that had suicidal ideations. They'd get sent to Balboa to get evaluated. And so I didn't want to be the person that was like looked at as weak.
Right.
And so I just sucked it up, kind of became an alcoholic through there. But I do feel like bodybuilding is what saved me, because once I got off that duty, I just wanted to start bodybuilding again, because I couldn't do it while I was recruiting. It was just too much stress and too much going on that I wasn't able to keep it up. I actually gained a lot of weight while I was on recruiting duty. So I went looking one way, buff, and then I left looking kind of a little fluffy. So
So what was it like? I mean, obviously there's numbers, right?
Mhm.
Recruiting is a numbers game. And how was it when you would sit down and you would talk to these prospective recruits and to get them to sign up, right? I mean, it's not an easy feat, and a lot
Yeah.
of them are young, and they have to
Mhm.
have their parents' permission to, even if they were going to go through the I can't even think of what it is before before you go to boot camp. That
Oh yeah, it's like the DEP program, where they delayed entry
thank
program.
you. That's it. Yes, yes, and even so, I can imagine that it's difficult, and the pressures that are put on for the area that you were in. What was the numbers that you had to hit?
So for the area that I was in, I had the numbers mostly were like 2 a month, but it was hard. It was hard to get to a month. Like, when I first got out there, I was not doing well. I wasn't recruiting any people. Um, I felt like my station, they did a lot of like weird tactics where, to me it was unethical. I didn't agree with the way that they were doing things. and they were trying to get me to do some of these things. And I was just like, I'm not doing it. I don't care how much pressure there is, what's going on. Like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it my way. And I got, like ridiculed because of it. But there was one leader there. His name was Master Sergeant Shamo, that pulled me to the side one time when I was consistently writing 0 contracts, and he pulls me to the side and he's like, Schmidt, like, you're a badass. You need to start putting that story out there to these kids. Like, you can do, like, he basically kind of spoke more life into me. And so that kind of like shifted me, and where I was like, okay, I can do this. I pulled myself out of this depression that I was in, and I basically just started having more fun with it, because I was taking the rejection personally at first. I was taking it personal. It was bringing me down into a depression, and I finally just shifted that perspective because of that one leader. And so I shifted that perspective and just started having more fun with it. I started bringing kids to my physical training sessions. Those were where I was able to actually just be myself, be the leader that I had become a pretty good leader by then, because I was good at speaking motivation and what a leader should be. And I would push these kids during the physical training sessions, and they loved it. Like,
That's amazing. Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, so I was able to start recruiting more and more kids. I started getting into the schools my way instead of like the way they were trying to. I was getting into the schools by like just continuously coming by and showing like who I was,
Right.
the type of person I was, and that I was actually trying to help their kids, not do anything slimy. And so they finally like let me into the schools. I was doing like combat fitness tests with the football players. And so doing the combat fitness tests with the athletes, like that even helped. So by the end of my tour there, I was recruiting more people than anybody in my office. Like, we were supposed to do 2 a month. I was doing like 4 or 5.
Wow.
And so me doing it, ending up doing it my way paid off in the long run.
Yeah, that's and there's nothing wrong with thinking outside the box and getting your point across in a different way, but the same message. So I think that's wonderful. So after your 3 years, what happens from there for you?
So after the 3 years on recruiting duty, I chose to go to California. So I got stationed in Camp Pendleton, Oceanside. I didn't have much of a choice which unit, so I got stationed at 9th Com Battalion. I just wanted to go to California, so I was happy with that. And coming off recruiting duty, I honestly looked at it like, this isn't anything compared to, because some people at 9th Com Battalion kind of were, I guess they had a negative outlook on it, because there was a lot of work to do there. But for me, it was better than being on a recruiting duty, because now I have my weekends and my holidays back. And so I'm happy to be here at 9th Com Battalion. I come as a staff sergeant, so I'm in a leadership role, and there's a lot of things at my platoon. So my MOS changed as I went back from recruiting duty. It had changed. So it went from being just radio to transmissions. And so once I got to 9th Com Battalion, my platoon happened to be a piece of equipment I had never worked with before.
Oh, no.
It was called a Track 170. And it was just this big, bulky thing that you have to set up, and it kind of talks to somebody across the land. And it was just weird. So I had to kind of humble myself and have the Marines teach me.
Right.
Like, you have to see, like, I've never seen this equipment before, so I'm not going to act like I know it all. And they basically taught me how to use it. But then at the same time, when I was planning field ops, they said that the Track 170, the last few field ops, they couldn't get it to work. But me and this female lieutenant, actually got it to work.
Nice.
Because of I think it was all the planning that because me and her worked well together. We were able to do a lot of things, and I was like, I'm the type of person, like, I'm going to make it happen. So whatever I didn't know, I was going to find out. And I was running around all over the place trying to plan this field op with this lieutenant. And it ended up being a huge success. And I felt that was, I felt it was because, like, we respected our Marines and we learned from them, and it was more of a reciprocal type of relationship, not like I'm the leader, you have to listen to me.
Yeah, it doesn't always work. I mean, theoretically it should work, but yeah, I get that. And so your field op went without a hitch then?
Yeah, I did.
Nice.
And so I guess
So,
after, what was your question?
oh, I was gonna say, yeah. So what happens after that for you?
Yeah, so after that, they ended up, yeah, I just built a reputation as being one of the staff NCOs that can, like, make things happen, and there wasn't that many at the time that could. And even though we had a lot of staff NCOs in our platoon, in our company, they ended up choosing me to go be the company gunny up at headquarters company.
Wow.
So as a staff sergeant, I went to go be the company gunny. It's usually a E7's job, but I was an E6 doing the job. And I basically had some of the people in my company that I was, like, technically in charge of were gunnies and staff sergeants. And so it was another leadership situation where I had to learn how to navigate things
Mm-hmm.
in a more diplomatic way versus, just trying to tell people what to do.
Right, right. And how long were you in that position for?
I did that position for about a year, and then they ended up switching me to, they pushed me over to, they actually kept me in headquarters company, but I ended up being like the what is that called? The chief. It was the chief who, the training chief. So I did all the training for the battalion as far as PFTs go, CFTs. I was also in charge of the BCP program, the force fitness program. Well, which the BCP program became the force fitness program, but yeah, and Ninth Com, we actually did our own ranges. So we would do our own shooting ranges for the whole battalion, and I was in charge of actually planning that and executing that for the battalion.
Wow. That's a lot. I mean, really, that's quite a bit of
Yeah.
responsibility that you have at your fingertips to have to take care of. And how were you able to manage juggling all of that?
So they did actually, since it was such a big battalion, they did have me and one other guy in charge of it. So I was kind of co in charge of it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we worked well together, and we were able to do some good stuff for the battalion. So that helped. I think if I was by myself, it would have been a little tougher. But I did, I learned a lot from the situation, just being in that position. And I definitely feel like it actually helped me get ready for my the next unit that I went to.
So tell me about the next unit. How'd that play out?
So the next unit I get stationed at, so this place, they used to call it the MACE, is the Martial Arts Center of Excellence, but they changed it to the Martial Arts and Fitness Center of Excellence in Quantico, Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
And I had always looked up to the place because I was a martial arts instructor, and I was like, it was just the epitome, like, of the character. Like all the stuff they teach you in martial arts is like the character building, mind, body, soul type of thing that they try and teach you in our martial arts program. And so I just looked up to the place, and I was excited to go there to be an instructor. So I was going to be a force fitness instructor trainer. And the interesting thing that happened is when I applied to go there, I didn't even go through the course yet to be a force fitness instructor. And they were like, well, why do you think you should be an instructor trainer if you haven't even gone through the course? How do you know you'll pass? And I was like, I just know, like, I've never failed anything in my career. And even the martial arts instructor course was it was tough.
Right.
And to be able to pass that, I was just like, whoa, like most men, there was a lot of men that didn't even pass that course.
Yeah.
So yeah, I went through the force fitness course and I ended up tearing my ACL on the obstacle course.
Oh no.
And so I was worried that they were gonna like drop me and I wasn't gonna be able to go be an instructor trainer. But I was like, you know what? I was telling the athletic trainer, I was like, I swear, like I'm gonna be able to do the culminating event at the end. Just don't drop me. And so I was doing rehab with him. I didn't even know my ACL was torn until 2 weeks later. I had already gotten off crutches by the time I found out, and it was completely torn. So I did feel that my knee was a little bit unstable, but I guess my muscles were strong enough because I was bodybuilding previously to be able to rehab to a point where I wore a knee brace and I finished the culminating event and still faster than half the guys.
Wow.
So,
That's amazing.
so, and to me, I don't say that to like brag about myself. I really speak about it to people like it's a testament to what you can do when you believe you can do something. So,
Right. Well, and it doesn't sound like you had much doubts about your abilities.
Yeah.
Which is always the first step, believing in yourself, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
Exactly.
you become an instructor trainer. How does that go?
Yeah, so I become an instructor trainer, and I'm like super excited about this role because I'm like I was a kinesiology major, and this is all I'll be teaching Marines. It's like a new program for the Marine Corps where they're actually teaching Marines like anatomy, physiology, biomechanics, just the proper way to actually warm up, the proper way to take care of your body. And so I was really excited about it. But as I'm there, I'm being treated differently. And at first, I thought it was because I was a new instructor there. But as more new instructors came, I started to realize it was just me still. And so I was like, okay, it was one guy specifically. I'm not going to say his name, but he was like after me for some reason. And didn't matter, no matter how much I pushed myself physically, he still found a reason to say why I did something wrong. And so he continually was doing that. And after a while, I started realizing he started doing that to other females too. We got a couple more female instructors, and we had female students. And he was just on the martial arts side where he had 4 red tabs, which was 4 red tabs means, for those of you that don't know, it's like a 4th degree instructor trainer. And so you actually make the instructors at that point, but you're a 4th degree black belt type of thing. So they kind of looked at him like he was God. And he would talk bad about me to the command, like saying that I was a bad instructor and I couldn't do this and I couldn't do that right. And so there was a lot of things like it was like he changed the perception of people at the command about me.
Wow.
And I started to talk to a therapist while I was there. This was my first time reaching out to a therapist because of what was going on at work. And luckily, this therapist I found was actually a prior Marine. He had been in for 20 years and retired. And he was like, by this time I had pinned on Gunny. Me and the guy that had been picking on me both picked up Gunny around the same time. And so he just has this thing, and he ends up I started sticking up for myself more and other females, and I was like fighting back type of thing, because we were the same rank. And I was like, you're not going to talk to me in that way, because the way he was talking to me was just very condescending. And I was like, you're not going to talk to me like that. Like, if you have something to criticize, you can give me like constructive criticism. It doesn't have to be the way that you're doing it.
Right.
And he didn't do that to the male instructors. Like any of the new male instructors, he wasn't doing it. So I was just like, okay. There was something to do with females. And I think after a little while, I was like, I'm not going to report him to the EO, because I think I can handle it in house. But then he ends up reporting me to the EO, saying that I've been harassing him. Then yeah, and this was crazy, because he ends up getting the guys, and I thought these guys were my friends, to corroborate his story that I'm harassing him. But the females, it was like me and two other female instructors that had more of the same story. And so I end up talking, they end up saying that they sided with him. They did like an investigation. They gave me like a 6105. And I was just like, wow, like this is so crazy how this can just be turned around on me like that. Like something like that had never happened in my whole career. I was actually respected at most of my units because of my abilities. But this was the first time it just didn't work. So there was a lot that happened at this unit, because this was my last unit. And I was in a relationship at the time. My boyfriend moved out to Virginia with me. I ended up finding out that I was pregnant for the first time. And I was like, well, I was 36 years old. And I was like, I've never been pregnant before. So this must, let's have the baby. But I was worried of what would happen when I told my command, that I was going to have a baby. And so I ended up making my way up. Even though I had all these issues with this guy, I was still making my way up to like lead instructor. Then I became the chief instructor for one cycle of the courses. But I got pregnant. I found out I was pregnant during that cycle, that I was the chief instructor. And once I told them that I was the chief instructor, they ended up taking me out of the position and just making me a regular instructor. And so I just felt like things got worse between me and the guy. There was that whole investigation that they found me guilty of. And I was just like, you know what? I just want to transfer. I ended up talking to the sergeant major, and I was like, can I just transfer over to TBS, because I'm just like tired of all of this. And the sergeant major ends up like, why didn't you just tell me about this situation? Like, I could have probably tried to help out ahead of time before it got to this. And I was like, well, I was just trying to handle it myself.
Mm-hmm.
Because they even look down upon people that like report things. I don't know. It's a pretty toxic environment at times. So
Right. So what happened to then?
So basically the sergeant major was like, yeah, he's like, I didn't end up I'm saying this on here because I think he's out anyway now. He's like retired, but the sergeant major he was like, I'm not going to submit your 6105. It's just going to be in my desk. So he never ended up running it into my record.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, I'll bring you over to TBS. I just ended up going to TBS while I was pregnant. I switched over to TBS to be like I was like helping with testing for the lieutenants. So it was a very chill job that they put me into, just so I can, go through my pregnancy and have the baby. But at this point, just being the fact that I was going to have a baby, and what had happened to me at this unit, I feel like it all played a part in me deciding to get out. So I was like, okay, I have a year and a half left and I'll just get out after. So that was 14 years. At my 14-year mark, basically ended up getting out of the Marine Corps because I did my pregnancy. Oh, while I was pregnant and had the baby, I became part of that group that, because at first I think it was just 3 months off for females.
Mhm.
And then you have to come back to work. But I was in that group, like I was right at the cutoff to where I could be in that group where they added a couple more months. So I was able
Wow.
to, yeah, they added a couple more months. So I had 5 months off after having my baby.
That's impressive. That's really impressive. So you're looking to separate out, and were you provided any resources from the Marine Corps on integrating back into civilian life?
So they do TRS, but to me, it's a very poor uh, way of integrating people back into civilian life. So you kind of got to figure it out on your own. TRS just kind of helps you, like they'll help you write a resume. They'll talk to you about what you should do in your appointments to get your disability claim, and stuff like that. But as far as like reintegrating back into civilian life, like no one talks about that, that identity shift that you're gonna have to make.
Right. And did you have a job already lined up, or your job was mother?
Yeah, I didn't have a job lined up. The crazy thing is I had built some businesses with my ex-husband while we were at that duty station. We bought some houses. We started putting them on Airbnb. And we also had French bulldogs, and we were breeding them, and we were able to make some decent amount of money off of that. But there was there was so much that happened at that last duty station, and it wasn't just work. It was like I didn't realize at the time I was also in a toxic relationship, toxic command. I had talked to a therapist only about the stuff that was really going on at work, because for me that was like my biggest thing. Like being a Marine was my life at that point. So I eventually started talking to that same therapist again after I had my baby, and started to tell him some stuff about my relationship stuff that was going on. And he actually got me to see, I was convincing myself at first that this was a good relationship. You know, I was convincing myself that, oh, we were this power couple, we were building businesses. I'm going to be fine once I get out because of the businesses. But I realized that it was an unhealthy relationship. I also had a miscarriage of it would have been our second child. And it just like hit me after the miscarriage. Was really just like, I kind of like awakened to like, okay, like I need to leave this situation.
Right.
So I ended up leaving the Marine Corps and the relationship at the same time.
Wow. Talk about cleaning slates.
Yeah.
Goodness. So, all right. You're now out of the Marine Corps. You're single.
Mm-hmm.
With a baby.
Yeah, with a baby.
and you don't have the resources from the military
Yeah.
that are going to get you what you need.
I will say that I did like what they told me. I feel like what they told me for my disability claim actually did help me to get my 100% disability. So I will say that that helped. That one class with that specific guy. I don't know if that guy, you know, I don't know if they say the same stuff everywhere around the Marine Corps, but he was basically telling us, like, if you have issues, like, don't go in like you're completely fine. You have to act as if you have that issue right now. Because I had back issues that would occasionally, like, it would be hard for me to like walk. But then once I was like normal, it took a lot of like foam rolling and stretching for me to get my back right, and it would take like a week or two. But they were like, you need to go in as if like your back is injured, because it is like it has these times, like every year I'd probably have like 3 or 4 times where it would just go out. And so there was a lot of things I was able to claim, especially with the martial arts and the joints and stuff like that. So I do think they prepared me a lot better than I think they've prepared others in the past to get that 100% disability.
Well,
So that helped.
Yeah. So where are you at today with your life? What are you doing today?
So now I actually I'm in a master's program. It's a master's in consciousness, psychology, and transformational leadership. And the reason why I chose this degree was because I actually started to kind of unravel all the things that had happened to me in my last unit, my last relationship. And it was just I felt like it was such a dark night of the soul, having to leave all that, and like, who am I now? Like,
Right.
I had
What's
lost
your
myself.
identity?
Yeah, exactly. I had lost myself in the relationship. I didn't know who I was, what I was like, what am I doing here? So I had to really find myself, ask myself the right questions, like, how did I get myself in this situation? And I started to realize that a lot of my subconscious patterns from childhood followed me as an adult. And I didn't know that, just ways that I reacted to things, and even getting into certain relationships, even joining the Marine Corps, was all like because our nervous system doesn't attract what's healthy, it attracts what's familiar.
Yeah.
And so I started learning all these things about the nervous system, how it actually really works. And I started becoming more aware of my own subconscious patterns, and I was able to start to rewire these patterns. And I would say that I've come into more of a secure attachment, instead of, I found out that I was, an anxious attachment style, and so that usually attracts the avoidant attachment styles. And in some cases you can call them narcissists, but I refrain from labeling people, just because I realize when you start to label people and things, like, your brain will actually perpetuate it. And so when you stay away from labeling things and actually get more into your own power and start to change your own inner, it's basically what's happening on the inside of your body. You can feel like the anxiety in your chest, or everybody is different in how they feel things, but it's about getting more connected with your body and how you feel certain things, to be able to actually figure out like how to navigate life, if that makes sense. And so what I do now is I actually teach people how to rewire, and you're basically rewiring into it's not necessarily a new identity, it's shedding the layers of identity that was conditioned into you, whether it was childhood, military, because they program you in the military for sure, going through boot camp and all of that, like, is a programming.
Right.
And so once you're out, it's like most people are hyper vigilant. I was definitely hyper vigilant, but I learned to rewire out of the hypervigilant state, learn how to trust myself and life a lot more. And then I started having different experiences. So the sciences are showing it. A lot of people more and more people are starting to experience it now. And so I've actually written a book. I wrote a book last year, but it was just my memoir. But this book is basically going to be my flagship book for this program, where it's called I've Got Me. And it's like learning how to regulate your nervous system, and basically coming home to yourself.
Wow. And when does this book come to fruition? When is it out for the public masses?
So I just literally actually just finished it, finished the final round of things before we got on this podcast. And so I plan to actually get the cover and everything done next week, get it formatted, and have it for pre-order within the next week or two.
That's amazing. Congratulations. Now, and this is all part of the Identity Recode for Veterans?
Yes. And so the Identity Recode for Veterans is the actual program I have where it's a transformative program to be able to, you come home to yourself to where you're so securely attached to yourself that it doesn't matter after this what you do. Like most people become attached to their achievements, whether it's degrees, where you work, all of these different things they become attached to. And with this program, you actually become so securely attached to yourself that nothing like nothing else matters. And you start to, and it does, I feel like it has brought my purpose out more. The more I shed that was not truly myself, because a lot of these patterns they're not who we are. They're just adaptations that our nervous system created because we lacked connection growing up.
Right.
And so it was just things that our nervous system reacted to, and we can change those things about us. Our true essence is our personality, where it's the loving part of us, the compassionate part of us. A lot of us grew up, I feel like, especially military members and Marines in general, we grew up with a lot of like beating ourselves up. And so that's through our childhood, and even in, through the Marine Corps, they don't make it any better because you have to be perfect. It's just this perfectionist mindset, not messing up, and you start to beat yourself up a lot especially while you're in the Marine Corps.
Right.
And
that self-doubt. Yeah. I think it's absolutely amazing. And so the Identity Recode for Veterans, is that a nonprofit?
So right now it's for profit, but I work for a nonprofit called the Fallen Outdoors, and I do host like bonfires, hikes, and kayaking events for military members, any veteran that's in San Diego. I have that group, I have like a WhatsApp group, and so I post things on there all the time about events, other events that are going on in San Diego for veterans, and I have the nonprofit to pay for like the kayaking events and stuff like that. And so I do plan to start hosting retreats too. And so I was talking with a nonprofit about possibly fundraising to be able to get people to go through the retreats for free, because the retreat will be, the Identity Recode retreat, and it'll be a transformative experience to where you'll learn all the tools that you need to like go forward.
Nice. Very nice. So for those out in the chats, if you have some questions for Sonya, go ahead and put them in. I have one from G23, and the question is, if she could go back to anywhere she was stationed or visited and take her family and friends, where would it be and why? That's a great question.
Yeah, that is a great question. I feel like my favorite, that is a hard question. I guess if you want to talk about being able to show people things, then I would say maybe the duty station in Virginia, because it has a lot of history there, And so there's definitely a lot of good things to be able to show people there on Quantico, because you have like the OCS, the TBS, that's all the officer training. For those that don't know what that is, the officer training is there. Then they have the martial arts history there. And so I think there's a lot of cool things to see there.
That's amazing. Yeah, I would love to see it. Love to see Quantico. Our oldest Marine veteran was stationed in Virginia as an instructor as well. Not Quantico, but yeah. So, and even just the history, the buildings, the architecture, right? I think those are some amazing things to see. And it's definitely on my bucket list of things to do. So tell me, if you could give advice to anybody who's considering joining the military, any branch, doesn't matter, what words of wisdom would you provide them?
Anybody, I think I would say that you are more powerful than you know. You are also more capable of things than you know you are. And so I really would like to just say, like, belief plays a big part, like believing in yourself and knowing that you could do certain things. That would be my biggest like advice.
Trust in yourself.
Yeah, trust in yourself and believe in yourself, and life
I
will
think,
take care of you.
yeah, I think that those are some key things, because a lot of times it's that self-doubt, especially if you've never been pushed. Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to say thank you very much for taking the time to come on. And do you have any final words, anything else that you want to add before we wrap up?
So I do have, I guess I have my website if anybody wanted to like contact for anything, like the free events that I have here in San Diego.
What's the website?
It's sonyaachara.com. And that even the website has like a way to contact me, like schedule a call in my calendar for anything, whether it's like collaboration or anything. I like to do free. I like to do, even though my website says I charge for keynote talks or something, I actually like to do free talks for like veterans, first responders, and stuff like that when it comes to my identity recode masterclass.
Mm-hmm.
So I also do my identity recode masterclass once a month for free, also for anybody that would want to learn more about the attachment styles and how to rewire from survival attachment into secure attachment. So
Wow. So what I'm sharing is Sonya's website. Again, sonyaachara.com. You can go out, take a look. And, this is, to me, I think it's pretty impressive. 14 years as a Marine, and being the instructor, being for multiple things, right? I just think it's incredible. And I'm really excited to see where you go, and where you're at in, say, 5 years from now with all of this. And we're all wishing you good thoughts and the best of luck. So I'm sure we'll be staying in touch. So for anybody interested, feel free, go check out sonyaachara.com. And then when you get that book out there and it is published and for the purchase, you just let me know and we'll get it put out for anyone interested to go ahead and get it purchased. So I want to thank you again. Appreciate you very much for being here. And if you want to hold tight for me, I'm going to go ahead and get things wrapped up. For everyone else, if you haven't already, please be sure to hit the subscribe button And then after the show, hit the like as well as hit the notification button, because that's going to give you notifications of each of my live shows, or any shows for that matter. And it's a great way to help and support our veterans. So thank you to each and every one of you. Join me again, please, next Sunday at 6 p.m. Central Time, when we have our next guest. So thank you all, everybody. Have a wonderful rest of your week.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Beaker with Military Broadcast Radio TV. We're your virtual MWR, bringing veterans radio, podcasts, gaming, animation, 3D printing, and a community that never leaves you behind. Download our Roku or mobile app today.
Wisdom to share if you listen this week, so pull up a chair and stay for a spell. We're heading down a trail where good stories dwell.